Hey guys, welcome back. And today we're going over the top 5 mistakes everybody makes when they're moving into a new home. So in my poll, I asked you guys about this, and you said a lot of you guys are planning on moving into new digs this year. How exciting! But what we want to make sure is that you don't make some of these basic 5 mistakes that almost everybody does when they're moving into a new home. And it doesn't matter whether or not you're renting that new home, or if that new home is just new to you and it's been around a bit, or if that new home is new construction, these mistakes are the same, so we want to make sure we avoid them. Ooh, and one more thing, stay to the end because I've got a pro designer tip for you. Now, the number one thing that everybody needs to make sure they put on their planning list to do is deep cleaning. No one's ever going to clean the place the way you want to. And this may be the only time that you can ever literally get into every crack and crevice. So what you do is you literally start at the ceiling and wipe down everything. And new construction, oh my gosh, things are covered with drywall dust and all the rest of that stuff. And if it's an older house, you just want to clean every surface. Get inside those drawers. Get under things. You want to make sure you clean that right. And I would honestly suggest, if you can afford it, to hire some help or a professional cleaning crew to help you get that done, because it's a big job, that first big deep cleaning. Okay, so the number 2 mistake people make is not planning their layout. Now, you want to move in with a plan. What does that mean? You want to know every room and what it's going to function for you. For them, it may have been a den. It may be your office. So what you want to do is you want to plan it out so that you know what's going where. You also want to double check. Perhaps your furniture that's coming with you doesn't fit through a doorway. How are you going to get it in the house? So you need to think things through a little bit before you see that moving truck pull up. So one of the things that I suggest is do a little quick sketch. If you can do one in scale, like I do, typically just by hand, then that's fine. If you want to work with a digital program, please be sure and check out my video on tools I can't live without, because in there's a couple of programs that we've kind of vetted here in the office that will help you guys, and they're user friendly. They're not like the big CAD programs. And then that way you can lay your furniture out in the new space, take a look at it, see what works, what doesn't, and know what you're going to put where when you start out on moving day. All right, guys, so the number 3 mistake that I see people making all the time is when you don't paint before you move in. Now, paint is literally the cheapest and easiest thing that you can do to transform a space into what will be yours every day of the week. If you don't know your color scheme, just paint everything out a lighter neutral. But the reason you want to paint, and I always recommend that, especially if the house has been lived in or has been standing for a while, is because there's a lot of energetics and storylines that worked for those people that will not reflect you and your life. So you definitely want to kind of start with a clean slate. Now, for those of you guys that are moving into new homes, it's most likely that the builder has done just a spray and go of something white, boring, usually too cool. And so you want to kind of think about the fact that, is it a white you can live with for a while, or do you want to try and warm it up and do a little bit more of a palette? Because let me tell you, it is way less headache and way less expensive to paint an empty space than it is when you have to move all of your stuff into the center of the room, tape it off, cover everything up. That's a nightmare that you really don't want to have to repeat more than once in 10 years. So paint before you move in. Now, if you're kind of wondering, oh, what am I going to do palette-wise? I don't even know what colors I want yet. Well, any of you guys who are Design Club members, I just published my Lisa's favorite list, which is all of my go-to neutral paints, my whites, my blacks, my grays, and my grayish. So check that out. That just came out in the library. Number 4 is flooring. Now, what do I mean by flooring? You want to thoroughly think through your flooring situation. Now, if you're moving into your own home, you want to figure out what your plan will be for the flooring. Do you like what's existing there? That's great. You kind of keep it and it works with what your space is going to be. Maybe if you don't like it, you want to think about that in advance, because again, just like paint, if you've got it in your budget, you want to do a flooring change now before you move your furnishings in, because it's way less expensive and way easier and faster to do that then. Maybe there's icky old tile and you want to put LVT down, or maybe there's icky old LVT and you want to put tile down. It doesn't really matter. You want to do it before you move in, so plan for that and take a look. Now, if you're renting and you're moving into a space that maybe is wall to wall, just remember to go back to point number 1 and deep clean the heck out of that carpet so that you know you can feel good about walking barefoot on it. Now, number 5 mistake people make all the time in new homes is not dealing with their window treatments. And I know you're going, what? Wait a minute, window treatments are really expensive. I've got a quick solution for you, because you need to do this ASAP, which is you just simply go and order online some of those cheapo accordion paper shades. They're like $6 for a dozen. They're nothing. They're really inexpensive to use, and they're paper, so they can go into the recycling bin. But what's great about them is that they're opaque, and so you can get some privacy right away without hanging up bed sheets. Nobody likes that, okay? Now, then you get the time to think about what you want to do window treatment wise. And if you're not sure what you're going to do with your windows quite yet, go ahead and check out my drapery series plus windows, shades, etc. There's a lot of questions answered in that series, so you don't want to miss out on that. The 6th mistake that people make all the time is not thinking about what are the lighting conditions in the space. So, like I said before, somebody else's den may be your office. And so you're going to need a lighting situation that is applicable to you working in that space. So you want to think about, do I have lamps that I can bring in? Where will I plug them in? Do I need to add lighting at this point? Or maybe the kitchen is nice, but it's dark underneath the cabinets. Throw some little under cabinet lighting pucks in there. They're not expensive. You want to make sure that the space has the appropriate lighting, whether it's ambient, task, or accent, for the ways that you're going to be using the space. That's super important. And one more little tip is try and get all of the bulbs changed out at the same time, because when you do, then you know that you've got 10 years on everything, especially if you have high ceilings and it takes an extra tall ladder to get up there and do those. You want to do that before you move in, believe me, because those ladders are huge. Now, if you guys have not already subscribed to my channel, I would love to have you do so. It makes such a difference to all of us who are in the YouTube creation community, because the more subscribers we have, the more ability we have to bring really great content to you. So go ahead and hit that button and be sure and ring the bell, because the bell lets you know every time I drop a video, which is every Saturday. Now, you guys stayed till the end, so here's the bonus designer secret tip, which is that with all this stuff going on, movers and crazy stuff happening, it's easy to overlook your entryway. And the thing about your entryway is that it's the first experience that someone else besides you has of this home. And so it's the easiest place for you to get a quick, indelible thumbprint on who you are and what the space is going to be about in that space. So think about this for a minute. Is there maybe a lovely little mirror that you can hang on a wall? Or it could be something as simple as putting a beautiful doorbell on the handle so that people know energetically that you've moved into the space. Just throw a couple things over there. Don't worry if they're not permanent, but it's a little bit of an expression of you, and it's also very functional, because if you're using that doorway to come in and come out, then you want to make sure that you have like a little stool and a space to throw your stuff up. So that's your extra little designer tip that you can do first day you move in to make that house yours right away. Now guys, what I want you to do is go over to this button and click this one right here, and it's going to take you right away to my wonderful little video on entryways, which tells you everything about whether your entryway is literally a postage stamp or it's a grand hall. Either way, I've got you covered in that video in terms of some inspiration and ideas. And I'll see you guys next week.